What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Collecting Profit, episode number 10 already, Anthony. I just can't believe where the time has gone.
Actually, I think
Two and
it's
a half
12.
months. It's crazy, man. Crazy. So,
Absolutely, man.
hey, everybody, welcome to the
Rock
show.
and
We got
roll.
a special guest, as you see below, Mr. Enfuego. We'll let him introduce himself right after Anthony goes ahead and introduces himself. Anthony,
Yeah,
how are you, sir?
doing great, man. Appreciate again you having me as we switch back and forth every week. Again, just want to dive right into the guest because I'm super excited to get to know Mr. Enfuego a little bit more. But if anyone else would like to watch my videos, it's at Picksburgh, the same as it says on my name there. Next week's show will be on my channel. We're going to be talking with Mark Hipsley, who's from the Pittsburgh Card Show. So should be a pretty good show. But without further ado, we have an amazing guest on tonight, and I'm really excited to pick his brain about some things. So without further ado, Mr. Enfuego, would you like to just introduce yourself to the people that may not be familiar with your channel? Or
Sure.
like you?
Well, first off, I appreciate Michael for inviting me on. I'm usually on the other side of the spectrum, having guests come onto our podcast, but being on this side, it's kind of like the hot seat. But yeah, Mr. Enfuego, I've been doing this YouTube thing for a little bit over a year now. Been collecting for as long as I've been living. Met a whole bunch of great people on YouTube. Huddle's Cards. We've known each other for a little while now. There's a few other infamous names that are out there. And yeah, I mean, just here, just like everybody else, collecting and having fun.
Yeah, so before we get going, I just want to say, Mr. Fuego, you're a Marine, you're a former Army man. I just want to say, thank you very much for keeping our country safe and allowing us to be able to do the things that we do. And I appreciate your service that, to our country. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
we get to collect cards because you went out there and fought for us, man. So it's awesome. Major kudos.
So you said, you've been collecting forever. Has it been steady for you, or were there some breaks?
There was a break. So initially I got into, I guess, a toddler's version of collecting through my grandfather. He would be the one to take me to games, pick up packs of cards with the cardboard bubble gum in it that was a quarter back then. And then up until he left to go to Puerto Rico about 10 years later, that's when I actually stopped. But I picked up again around 2011 when I just got back from my fourth and final deployment, and I've been consistent with it ever since.
And are you strictly a baseball guy, or do you collect any other sports?
Strictly baseball.
Strictly baseball.
What about baseball draws you to the collecting side as opposed to like any other sport? Is it just something you grew up on that you have a lot of nostalgia for?
Well, I mean, the hobby kind of grew on me just for learning what baseball really is. You've got your individuals that are all about history. They're all about just the sport within itself. Well, I like to take all that and combine it into one. Like, from my collecting habits or my fetish for the sport is, the various historic events that are associated with the sport. Where did it come from? The significant names that brought baseball to what it is today. And I take all that and I kind of incorporate it into my collecting habits to a certain extent. Like a lot of these new kids, they still got, the ink on their contracts is still wet, but those that have actually paved the way to what it is today, is what drives me to the sport and to the hobby.
So who are some of like the favorite like guys you have like of all time that you like to collect?
Well, right now my biggest PC targets is Julio as of last year and Alex Rodriguez.
A-Rod and a J-Rod.
Yes.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Both like
And
stellar players.
yeah. I mean, the J-Rod collection is very impressive. If the shorts and everything you do. I
Yeah,
mean,
I was going to mention some of the shorts like
yeah.
that I mentioned on your channel. Now,
They
as far as like content creation goes, I just have just because I see a lot of shorts, like, do you notice that like that helps you a lot in the YouTube algorithm, like posting a lot of shorts with specifically card content?
Honestly, I don't even pay no mind to the algorithm. I just, as soon as I get something that's either short or an actual video worthy, that's the route that I take. But I spoke my significant other has been kind of been like my driving force with the channel, and she would always tell me, look at your shorts as commercials of what people expect on your next video. So, like a lot of these single purchases that I make, I'll do shorts off of them, and then when I have enough substance to create a video, that's when I put it all together.
That makes sense.
That's a great idea. I
Yeah.
never, I never really heard anybody really say it that way before.
Yeah, it's a great way of putting it, and I'm sure that YouTube might do a little something more with the shorts too, because I know that like from what I've heard on some like other channels that like focus on like the algorithm stuff is like they want to kind of take over some of that space that TikTok has right now, where like kids will just mindlessly like go through like basically TikTok videos for hours.
Right.
Like YouTube wants to get some of that space too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean like the first thing that pops up like whenever you go on your channel is just the shorts. So like that, as somebody who makes videos too, like automatically I was like, man, there's got to be something to that. I got to ask them about that.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, they give you either a 15-second window or a 60-second window, and that's a lot of time depending on the approach that you take on what you're trying to put out there as your commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, whatever it is, it's work because your have exploded. It seemed like, on Tuesday you were at 1,000, and on Wednesday you were at 2,600.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Now, a lot of people has been asking me about that, and the only part of a justification that I could come up with is so on February 2nd, that was my birthday. I was off that day, and I was out hunting for a Tops update. I get a phone call from one of my old soldiers. And the first question that she asked me was, hey, are you still doing your YouTube channel? And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, that's a random icebreaker of a conversation. But yeah, I am. Why? What's up? She goes, okay, that's all I needed to know, and hangs up. So then everything was calm and quiet up until about the 7th of February. But come February 8th, I'm starting to notice this rapid growth in my channel. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? And it's kind of like what you said. It's like 1 minute, I jumped up 100, next day 50, and so on and so forth. It's like by the end of the week, I hit 1,000 subscribers, and I'm like, what's going on? And it was actually on a podcast that me and my partner was doing. And I've learned this through other people also, that you're doing good when you start inheriting your first trolls.
For sure.
We had two random individuals who we looked at their channels and no content. The channel was actually made within the last 48 hours, basically accusing us of buying subscribers. So we just like, you know what? We must be doing something right.
Yep.
So that's basically where it's at right now.
The way I look at it is if you were going to buy them, should have bought more. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Most guys that are like in our sub range, like 2,000 to 3,000 range, like
yeah,
you're going to buy them. Like wouldn't you have at least got somewhere to where you're marketable? You know what I mean? Like,
You're right.
because like most companies, like for 2,000 to 3,000 subs, they're not paying you a whole lot for like
No.
advertising or even wanting to advertise.
If
with
you have a Jabs family type audience, I can see.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
He's already over 130,000 subscribers, but
Right.
I mean, like you said, if I was gonna buy a subscription count, it would be a lot more than what I have now.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, that would be
I'm
the
not
first
shopping off
logical
the
thing in my
dollar
mind.
menu if I'm going ahead and buying. I'm not shopping off the dollar menu. I'm going for the big menu.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
So to go talk about, your podcast, you and Adrian, A League of Her Own, another, stellar member of our community. How did that form? How did that all come together?
Honestly, I was caught off guard with that one. So Adrian just randomly messaged me and said basically, look, I'm thinking about doing a podcast. Was wondering if you're interested in taking part of it with me. First thing in my mind was, okay, what did I do to be singled out amongst all the other names that are out there? I was still somewhat of a fairly new channel. She's been doing it for a little bit. And I'm like, okay, what's the catch? But then I posed that question to her, and basically her response was that she saw some of my content and a lot of what I bring out on videos, she kind of takes the same approach. So in her mind, it felt as though it was like two peas in the same pod.
Yep.
So what better way to show that connectivity than in a podcast format? So then I'm like, all right, let's do it then. And from there, we've been basically feeding off each other and learning and growing from each other from the most part.
Awesome. It's really awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. I catch them when I can. I'm not a big commenter when I watch because I don't want to so I don't know, because I'm trying to, because to me it's tough. I want to read the comments, but I want to pay attention to what's going on. And then all of a sudden I find myself reading the comments and I'm like, what the hell are they talking about now?
And that's something that we're actually going to be changing as far as the podcast is concerned. What we're trying to actually focus on is take away the eyes of the audience and gather more ears. Because the way we look at it, podcast is meant to be listened to.
Right.
Not everybody is going to be on the YouTube. So I know we've mentioned it in every podcast. You can catch us after air the live stream on all your major platforms. We're on Amazon, Google, all those big ones that I can't even think of off the top of my head right now, but you can listen to them there.
Well, we may need to pick your brain to find out how we could get involved in that stuff.
What I was going to ask is, how do you find those produced compared to like your, say, YouTube podcast? Like, does it produce as well, if not better?
Well, honestly, the one that actually manages all that would be Adrian, because she's the one who actually set it up to where the podcast is in a downloadable format on those other platforms. I'm just here for the ride, helping just bring out the content.
Yeah.
But now I actually have a meeting with my cousin, who's actually a marketing guru. We're gonna sit down and figure out some ways on trying to get the podcast out there.
Nice.
Very cool.
So we'll see how that works out.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a huge need for like good hobby podcasts, because I know like one thing for me, like I love listening to that type of stuff as I list cards, and it like motivates me to like actually sit there and bang stuff out when something like takes my mind away from what I'm actually doing. So yeah, there's definitely a need for it, man. So like I wish you all the luck in growing this thing as far as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying. I was, wanting to get Adrian on, but unfortunately she works the night shift, I guess, right? Or,
Well, she's currently in Cleveland right now with her sister. So she's going out and doing sister things with her sibling, and she'll be back in town probably at the end of the week.
Nice.
Oh, that's
Maybe
good.
she can catch a Cavs game while she's out there.
She actually did mention that she was going to go catch a Cavs game.
Nice.
I just had to remind her that you just remember LeBron is not a part of the Cavs no more.
Hey, they're still doing pretty good. They got Spider now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they're actually good for basically the first time since LeBron left again.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm happy about that. Dave says his day off is owed to what better way to spend it with mates. My man, appreciate you being here all the way from Australia.
Yeah.
Firestarter says he wants to see Stryker on here. Definitely try to make that happen.
I'll ask him, but I'm the small fish, so we'll see if I'll respond back. I'll reach out.
Hey, big fish like to eat small fish, so maybe.
That's true. Yeah, but that would not be a good thing.
What happened to Huddle?
Striker. So back to the hobby. You're doing baseball, all that kind of stuff and everything. What is the best way that you like to, obtain your cards? Are you just one that will scan the internet, find it, and just buy it, or are you doing all a bunch, breaks and all boxing, ripping, all that all kind of stuff?
Well, normally I start out, if I'm targeting something for the very first time, I'll go with breaks. Okay. And the approach that I took with Julio, for example, when Update first came out, I'll get into this three hobby box break that he did. I will scoop up the Mariners, scoop up the Yankees as a backup because obviously I'm a Yankees fan, but I'll scoop up the Mariners for just to test the water, see what kind of Julios I get. Right. And out of that break, I pulled the rainbow foil, the gold debut out of 2022, the black gold, and a few others. So I was like, okay, I'm actually getting somewhere with this. So then I got into a bigger break with industry breakers, if you will. And they ended up opening up. And I believe I brought the invite to your attention too with Hit Seekers.
Yeah.
Picked up a few additions to the J-Rock collection. So then at that point, I was still trying to get into breaks to see if I could chase specific cards. But I saw that I wasn't getting nowhere with them. So I just decided, okay, the ones that I don't have and I can't get out of these breaks, because I noticed when a product first comes out, everything that you're looking for in it, you'll get it when it first releases.
Right.
Towards the middle of production of distro and towards the end when it starts drying out, good luck. I'll start surfing eBay and whatever it is that I'm looking for that I can see over there with it, which is within reason, I'll scoop up the table scraps over there, and then that's basically how I build my rainbow of the target that I'm actually going for.
Now, as you collect him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Will you collect 2023? Well, I mean, so now is he becoming now? Was he just a rookie guy for you, or is he one of these guys where you're going to want to get second year, like all his cards as you move forward?
That's what I'm focusing my collecting habits on. I like to get your prospects, your rookie, and your second year for pretty much all the big names. Okay. Or those individuals that are having those breakout years. Like with, let's just say, if when Miggy hit the Triple Crown, I'd go out and get something of his to show that he did get the Triple Crown. That'll be like a highlight for that year for me.
I was just laughing at his comment there about loving your J-Rod, and he said to keep it clean because we're a family show. Sorry. I have the mind of a 2-year-old. If it's even somewhat perverse, I'm going to laugh.
That's one thing that we learned in the military is the dark humor. I'm all for it.
Yeah, like I still like am like a grown-up version of Beavis and Butthead sometimes. So like that just caught me.
It's all good.
Well,
Yeah,
the thing
so
with John, with Mr. Fuego, what he's such, there's another side that a lot of people, we see him on the videos, we see him on the podcast, so on and so forth, but there's another side of him where when we would get on other people's doing breaks and everything, and he would do giveaways, and I mean like real giveaways, like like not just I mean, and it's been great getting to know you, been great watching you, been great listening to you, and and learning stuff from you. So I appreciate the way you have approached the hobby and your willingness to give and teach all of us. So
Well, I
from that
mean,
standpoint.
you both have seen it like I have. The hobby that we grew up on is getting saturated with a whole bunch of individuals making a business out of it. Kind of ruins it for the younger kids and for those that grew up to where it is right now. So what better way of trying to bring back old tradition than, paying it forward?
Yeah, yeah. How do you so to go further with that? I mean, what do you think as you've seen the hobby from where we were, pandemic, to where we are now? Where do you think it's going to go? How with trying to buy it? Because who knows? I mean, I don't know what it like if the pandemic never happened. Where would the prices of some of these cards be? Would like you said, would this kit? I mean, look at the Jackson Holiday, the one that was pulled. They had the bounty,
Yeah.
250,000. I mean, would that have happened if there was no pandemic?
No, I don't think so.
I mean,
I
of
think
course,
the pandemic forced a lot of people. This is their way of working from home, if you will. They used this opportunity while they was on lockdown to find something that'll keep them busy during the lockdown. What better way than it's either gonna be video gaming or collecting cardboard? And I've noticed a lot of people when they talk about the hobby, they're always talking about ever since the pandemic, I got back into it. So
yep.
that tells me that the pandemic was a trigger point for these people to either get back into it for the purpose of collecting or to actually make a business out of it. But now going back to what you were saying, as far as where the hobby is gonna go, if couple of things need to happen in order for it to benefit, so for it to be a win-win for everybody. Fanatics needs to stick to the mindset of them saying that they're gonna make the hobby great for everybody across the board times 10. Those are the words that they said during that tops conference that they did in Arizona. And then let's be a little more realistic with trying to get everybody of all ages involved in collecting, because little Timmy does not have $300 for a jumbo box.
No, he doesn't.
Nope.
Okay. And if he does get the $300 out of it, it's going to be us that's going to be like, okay, let me pick out all these things that I know for a fact you're going to destroy, and I'll give you the rest. You're kind of restricting his collecting habits.
Yeah, well, I tell you, it's funny. I mean, forget nationals, but even at a show where Anthony and I, in what was it, the end of January, we went to the show in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot tell you how many kids. Now, look, I'm an older guy, so a lot of people might say, hey, 20-something-year-old is a kid. No, I'm talking kids. Like you said, little Johnny, little Timmy, like 10 years to 14 years old, walking around with Zion cases filled with slabs, pulling out, hey, well, here's my Kevin Durant rookie card. Here's my this, that, the other. And I'm going, what the hell? Your Zion case is worth more than everything that I have.
Yeah, you're right.
And I'm like, how? How I just to
These
me what I
kids,
wonder is does that have the potential to ruin the hobby because these younger kids are looking at it not the way you and I and Anthony did when we were young.
we are teaching these kids the wrong way of the hobby. I remember when I used to collect cards, in order to keep them safe, I put a little rubber band around them just so I know that
remember
they're
those
all
days.
together.
Right.
Nowadays, you got these kids with screw downs, putting them in slabs, suitcases. And I mean, I'm just like, really? Is all that necessary?
I know. I mean, I think it's I don't know. Like I said, I just I just wonder if with some of these younger kids, they're gonna look at the hobby not the way, we did. How do we get back to that to where it's more of, collecting? It's something that, it's not. I don't look at this card and go, oh, I don't look. I mean, don't get me wrong. Now I do look at certain cards, but when I was, 11 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old, I look at this card and I go, wow, I wonder what I could get for this.
And you see, that's where you and I differ. And I'm sure you're probably a little bit older than me, not by much though, because I feel like I'm probably older than both of you. But I I've been consistent with how I look at cards. And what I mean by that is my grandfather, before he passed, has passed down to me a 51 and a 52 Mantle. Okay. They're not slabbed, they're not in the screw down case, they're still in top loaders, and I just literally have them lying around on my desk like it ain't nothing. These kids nowadays, they want to put them in all types of protection in a safe, have insurance on it, and all this other stuff. For what? That's not in my mind, that is not the purpose of collecting. You're collecting for either the historical value, the sentimental value, or just for the love of the hobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
But these kids are talking about, I'm gonna go ahead and get this slab so that when it's time to cash in, it's all good to go. No, that stuff like that ruins the hobby for a lot of us.
Yeah.
Me primarily. I can't speak for everybody else, but me, I kind of frown on that when you're only focused on making the flips. And even with simple trades, they have
Yep.
to be of equal value in order to be considered a good trade.
Right.
Last time I checked, if I have what you need and vice versa, let's work something out.
Yeah.
Done deal. They don't do that no more.
No, hey, when me and my friends would go to the store, we'd buy a pack. We knew everything we had, so you only heard two phrases: need them, got them. Need them, got them. Need them, got them.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I got all these. Do you need these? I need these 3. Okay, cool. Do you need? Oh yeah, I need these 2. All right, cool. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. It wasn't like, excuse me, this guy is a potential Hall of Famer. He's not worth those 2 cards. You need to give me 4 cards. No, it was here. You need them. Here you go.
Yeah.
Boom. If you had nothing that I needed, that's the way it went. Who cared?
Right.
Yeah.
It was
It
truly.
still is with me and Marty for the most part. Only he gives me most of the cards.
I mean, like
it was collecting. It was a hobby. It has become.
I just got my daughter interested in the sport of baseball and the collecting of within the hobby within the last 10 years. Okay. She'll tell you her favorite player would be the same player that is my favorite player, but she'll always get the jersey number wrong. That's just the way she is. But, I try to teach her what I learned from my grandfather on the collecting. And I mean, she knows there's people out there that looks at any opportunity to make a flip or earn $1 or $2 on it. But, she said if she was to ever get seriously involved with the hobby like I am, she would actually use flipping methods in order to better her collecting habits, if that makes sense, which is what I'm doing.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
You know, if I have a whole bunch of stuff that does not fit in my PC and I know people like this stuff, I'm gonna get it out there so that I can get whatever it is I need to fill in for my personal collection. So
No, it's the right way to, to approach it.
right.
It's definitely the right way to approach it and everything, and I don't know. I mean, I do have some concerns of the hobby because from both perspectives, yes, we hear about fanatics and all the things they want to do. But then I wonder, you know, one company having it's and it's different. People will go, well, back in the day, Tops had basketball and hockey and football and baseball. They had everything, and look what happened. And I think times are different now. The hobby's not what it was when that happened.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you just wonder, you know, what does it look like when Fanatics has everything?
Well, I can tell
That's
you
what I'm
one
afraid
thing.
of.
I can tell you one thing. There's gonna be one standard. Okay. And what I mean by that is we know Panini is infamous with parallel designs. We know Tops is all about what? Print runs, so on and so forth. If you take what Tops strength is, what Panini's strength is, and combine them under one and keep it to one standard, you really can't go wrong. You got to take all the extra hands out of the cookie jar in order for it to be successful.
Yeah. No,
True.
that's true. I mean, it's going to be interesting.
I mean, it's
like
going to
it.
be growing pains. It's not going to happen overnight. I see improvement at least within the next 5 to 10 years once they officially take over.
Do you think quality control is going to be better under Fanatics? That's like one thing that I'm like super concerned about because I know Panini's quality control is just hot garbage as of lately.
I would think that depends on what product it is. Do they need help with QC? Yeah, because I mean Panini is infamous for having piss poor quality. Tops is not too far behind. We saw that with Tops Chrome update. Okay. But I think and to be quite honest, I mean, if they have the better resources or they just refine everything and just start from not necessarily start from scratch, but just find ways to make it better and consistent, you have that person who QCs the guy who's responsible for QCing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with additional checks and balances.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I like their view on redemptions.
Mm-hmm.
I like, that it's not tied to a card, but some of the other things, you get an Instagram follow by, Mike Trout or, something, thing or, those types of, I like that idea.
Yeah.
I could never understand redemptions. I mean, like to me, it's like, okay, you have this autographed card, gold, blah, blah, blah. There's only 10 of them. I don't understand. Why don't you have all 10? Give them to the player. You have all 10 signed and you have them in a vault somewhere back at the place. Somebody does a redemption. You go there. Oh, Julio Rodriguez, numbered 1 to 10. You just pick, I don't know, you reach in, go grab one. Who cares what number it is? You put it in and you send it out.
You know why they don't do that? Because it makes sense. And if it makes sense, a lot of people won't do it. I mean, I was in the same boat. So in Hit Seekers breaks, I pulled a Julio Rodriguez redemption. Okay. It took me almost 5 months. I just got it back within the last week. Okay. I pulled it during I think it was October or whatnot. And I probably would have got it sooner if it weren't for Julio deciding to be marketed in a way where it kind of prolonged a lot of us who pulled those redemptions.
Right.
I mean, the kid went out and started marketing Series 1 by cooking, being a guest on The Bachelor, painting. I mean, and I was getting told about it throughout the rest of the car community. Hey, Julio is painting now, right? I'm like, that's why he keeps doing all this. I'm never gonna get my redemption in time.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I was actually able to get it before he partook in this whole WBC tournament. Because if that's the case, I would have never got it.
Yeah, and it seems that Topps has a better turnaround than Panini does. Well,
They do.
I mean,
I've seen that as far as redemptions go.
There are people who are still been waiting years
from
Panini.
I just got an email from Panini requesting what I wanted to do because I pulled a redemption of a Jeremy Pena Obsidian auto.
Nice.
I said, you know what? I don't foresee me getting that card. Just give me something of equal value. So we'll see what happens. Oh yeah.
So you'll get a random picture then.
No, I wouldn't doubt it.
They'll send you a random picture.
I will. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I get a Devi Garcia. So, but yeah, Panini, they completely ruined the redemption train for collectors, and their customer service sucks.
Michael, when we went to the National together, do you remember that guy walking around with that sign that said, I've been waiting like
10 years?
Yeah, I was going to say it was definitely over a decade.
There's a guy walking around with a sign. I've been waiting for 10 years for my redemption.
And now that was 2 years ago, so it's been like 12.
Now he's a dozen years.
That is insane.
Oh, I don't, I don't get it. I mean, here's the thing, like you think about, okay, so think about it from not a baseball side, but from a basketball and a football side with Panini.
Mm-hmm.
Any, LaMelo Ball. Think about the money that those people spent to get in those breaks, to get that, and then that redemption card, and poof.
Dude, think of it even worse. Right now, Marty's waiting on a Ja Morant auto. Like, think of how valuable that would have been, like, even a month ago.
Right.
Well, here's the thing, though.
But he should have time to sign now.
Here's what I see. Here's the give and take. Football and basketball have the licensing with Panini for their products. So, yes, it's going to command a premium.
Right.
Baseball does not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, those Joe Burrows, those Justin Herberts, and I'm just naming a few names that I see thrown around a lot. They command these 4-figure, 5-figure values that everybody places on them, but yet you'll have your Julio Rodriguez's, your Mike Trouts, your Ohtani's, $800-900 most. And it's a Panini or a Dahmer's product.
That's crazy.
So, and that's another thing that would likely help Fanatics too, getting the licensure straight.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they're going to end up buying Panini?
I think so. I mean, they've been in talks now for months. Mm-hmm. The only thing that's holding them back from actually fulfilling everything is their redemption program.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because the last word that I got was Panini was trying to pawn off the program to ComC. And once they do that, they want to make sure that all those redemptions have been fulfilled as best as possible. So when Fanatics takes over, they're not taking over a tremendous storm of a mess.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna, I don't know.
As somebody who's a baseball collector primarily, if say there would be Prism Baseball and it's licensed, or like one of the Panini products, like, would you then like give it more weight, like as being like a legitimate product for baseball? Or
absolutely,
would you still so you wouldn't still look at it as kind of like an outside thing because it's not Topps? It would
now obviously everybody, to include myself, my first thing with Topps is definitely flagship.
Yeah.
Everything else, all the pretty colors, the cute names, and all that, I'm gonna go with Panini if the licensing is there. Because again, Panini, they actually put some thought into a lot of the designs of all their variations. I have 8 outstanding Panini redemptions. Should I be sweating? No, you should just go ahead and tap out.
I was gonna say, I would definitely at least put on some deodorant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks, man. But yeah,
You
I
know,
know
but
Marty's the same way with a bunch of those redemptions.
if Panini had the licensing to put the logos on their cards, I think the market, the collectors would be gravitated towards them simply because now they have the licensing and they have the better designs.
The weird thing is I feel like Topps gives you better value in everything except for baseball. I feel like Panini has to give you like extra value just because their cards are definitely not like as like wanted by the hobby because they don't have that licensing. So I feel like some of like their boxes will just like load you up with like bigger hits just to like get you buying more of it.
I mean, a lot of the variations and parallels that Topps comes out with, they took those ideas off of Panini. For example, you got your baseball home field advantages.
I love those.
That
Those
was a Panini product at first.
Yeah.
Then you have the Kabooms. Kaboom and baseball don't go together, in my opinion. You know, so a lot of the ideas that a lot of the stuff that Topps is doing right now, it's already been done. And if anything, Topps is making it worse. Give those licenses to Panini, the originators of those variations that everybody loves so much. Panini would blow Topps out the water.
So if Fanatics buys Panini, then are they really just buying the words Prism, Mosaic? I mean, are they really just buying the words? Because what would stop you can't stop them from making a card, right?
No, you can't stop them from making a card, but at the same time, you're buying the rights to the names of those variations too.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
they're really buying that stuff.
You can't even use Kaboom. Like there was a company that was grading cards actually putting like the Kaboom in their like labels, and that was like something that was illegal.
It's kind of like the black golds. They originated back in the early 90s, mid 90s. You know, there's really no significant difference with them, with the exception of you change the color of the border and the actual player. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, that is probably one variation that Topps got right, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, like I said, I just, I don't know. I just, like I said, my concern is how
and that goes back to what I said. You take when Fanatics takes both companies and make them into one. You take Topps strength, you take Panini strength, make them your own. And standardize. Don't make a standard for one side of the house and one standard for another side. Keep it all consistent so that everybody's on the same sheet of music.
Yeah.
No, that's true. I mean, that's definitely the right way, to go about it. I mean, if you're Fanatics, I guess, what do you? I guess they really, I mean, they're really in the driver's seat. There's no need for them to rush to make a deal with Panini.
No, not at all.
I mean, they might, so, I mean, but if you're thinking Panini, if you want to go ahead and sell and you want to think about it, you may have to come to them sooner rather than later, because all of a sudden you lose basketball, you lose football, your reason for going there doesn't not that much.
Imagine when all of Panini is basically like Prism draft picks, like quality stuff, because like really like that's their unlicensed stuff is like their collegiate stuff that they can't actually put the licensing on. Like, so that would pretty much be all of their product moving forward. Like, I'm sure they would find a way to put pro uniforms without actually putting logos and stuff like they've done with baseball. But for the most part, like their stuff is pretty much going to be like the Prism draft picks of cards. So it's going to really, in my opinion, like lessen the demand for it. I wouldn't want it much personally. So,
and I think once Fanatics is officially taken over, they gotta they gotta cut a lot of the fat on the variations of products that's coming out. To be honest, I mean, like Topps, they're getting rid of Clearly Authentic, they're getting rid of Opening Day, and all these other non-selling products. But I mean, some of them, like Sonic, for example, I think that one was just on a whim.
Yeah.
You know, let's take Topps Chrome, since we produced way more than we were supposed to, and just throw maybe one or two different variations in it.
Yep.
Makes no sense to me.
John, it looks like Firestarter said you got a spot in his break on Friday. Steve hooked you up with the Yankees.
That is awesome. Hey, if you could tell Steve I said thank you, I appreciate it.
Oh, my bad. I didn't see you saw that. My bad.
But I would like to see, you know, I wonder, like with Fire and Gallery, Clearly Authentic, some of these, do they become inserts?
No.
Does it become honestly, a variation?
I don't even think they're going to be gone permanently, to be quite honest. There's a possibility they're just going to be put on the back burner for right now. This is probably the big picture for quality control, because there's just entirely too much product out there. And on top of that, when you have some of us who's looking at these release calendars, draft pick, Bowman draft is supposed to be released on April 26th, but yet Topps comes out of left field and says, nope, we're going to push it back. Fanatics basically told them, look, stop releasing dates, because if you're going to change them, don't even bother bringing it up until at least a week out.
Right.
So then that gives you time to prepare for a release date, a checklist, then release. So it kind of works out in a way.
Yep.
So are they going to try to do kind of what they did with Chronicles and Panini?
They're probably going to mesh products together.
That would make a lot of sense. Because if you're getting rid of it and there's demand, like I know Michael said, some of those sets that they're doing away with, he actually really liked.
Yeah, so I like Fire. I like Gallery. Those are two of the ones that I enjoy. You know, I enjoy those cards. I like the way those cards look and everything. That's what I was wondering, if do they make it an insert?
Now, here's my thing. And I saw I was actually thinking about it, but then I saw a video on YouTube that kind of supported my train of thought. So we see with Series 1, in order to get anything of value, you got to go with the higher end format, whether it be your hobbies or your jumbos. I was thinking at one point prior to this whole thing, why not put different sets in different formats? For example, if you're looking for completing the home field advantage checklist, you could find them in blasters. You want the black golds? Get them in the hanger boxes. If you want strictly autos or numbered autos, come on over here to Hobby. You know, don't throw everything in those bigger end formats, because kind of like what I said, Timmy don't have $300 for a jumbo box,
right?
Let alone $150 for a hobby. Mm-hmm. You know, you keep doing what you're doing and try to give the impression of wiping out retail. You're taking half the collecting market with it.
If you think stuff's sitting on the shelf now, if people all of a sudden realize they got no shot at getting any hit, the only way that product's going to sell, blasters better be going down to like $9.99, because that's the only way they're going to sell. Because if you have no shot at getting anything decent,
right?
What's the sense?
You're right. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys seen it in your Walmarts or your Walgreens or whatnot. These baseball products that neither sponsored by Topps, Panini, none of that. It's like Billy's baseball boxes, and it comes with random packs.
Yeah.
Because just to entertain it, I ended up buying 2 boxes of that stuff. It was $4.99. Can't beat it.
Right.
But the packs were from the junk wax era years and maybe early 2000s. Got a whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah.
I Mandy.
Yeah. I don't know. I just
And the stuff that they used to fill those products is stuff that just didn't sell when they first released.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because, like, I know in Pittsburgh, you can get basically any product you want at retail. And there's plenty of times I'm like at Walmart and I'll walk by and be like, oh, damn, there's Prism, Optic, Select. As far as baseball goes, there's the mangas of Topps, Bowman, like all that stuff.
Right.
And it's like, man, do I even want to get anything right now? You know what I mean? Like, most of the time I do, but I mean, like, I almost feel like a little bit of fatigue because, especially at retail, there's really only so much you're going to hit.
Mm-hmm.
exactly. That's what I mean. So, and like Andy says, that the prices are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Or when the product first comes out, you just buy a metric ton of it, like certain individuals that pump out these videos. Like I know for a fact, Step in the Box, big suspect. He's still breaking Topps update. I think he did a video where he said he broke into 500 hangers, 300 blasters, and he's still going through blasters as we speak. Now, just imagine a blaster box at $25 a pop, and you broke about 300. I know if that happened in my household, I would not have a household to hold that stuff in.
For sure.
Well, what you figure the number of hangers? What is that? $8,000 or so on hangers
minimum.
That's just hangers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Don, that might be the new, that might be the new relic, stock relics.
Yeah, exactly. Or jockstrap, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the new thing is.
Could you imagine like getting a jockstrap like relic card? Like if that was a thing. Like I would imagine that'd have to be the one of one.
I'm not gonna lie. If they was to do cut auto jockstrap 101s, they would definitely have to be a name of significance. A Babe Ruth, a Ty Cobb.
I'll be a Randy Johnson. Wouldn't that be like so fitting?
It's
a big unit.
Yeah. Because
yeah, I mean,
you're right, Alan.
Yeah,
completely agree. Which is why they're somewhat taking the right steps and cutting a lot of these products out too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, in Australia, they don't even see it,
and that's another headache. You got all these scalpers that meet the restock boy or girl at your Target, at your Walmart. Don't even let the person finish restocking. Don't worry, we'll stock it for you. Or yeah, here's my fake badge. I work for Walmart. Just give it here. We'll stock it up for you. Take it to the register and buy it all up and sell it for double on eBay.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if like a lot of people can still do that now, or if the margins are like crippled due to like them raising the blaster prices and stuff like that.
Well, I mean,
like the stuff you have, Michael, like, is it like if you wanted to just list it on eBay, could you get like a lot more than you paid for it, or would it just be like marginally more?
Probably it's a break even.
Yeah.
Best case scenario. I mean, stuff from that. I mean, like I said, it doesn't really, it right now, it really, retail is good. It's a fun rip, but if they make that change to where like you have no chance of getting anything, I mean that destroys, like you said, a massive market that you don't have. Because what's going to happen is this. Then what's going to happen is little Timmy, or Timmy's dad, he's going to have to save up now.
Yeah.
You can't just go to Walmart or Target or his local card store. I mean, because you think about it, the blaster at a card store can't be different than a blaster at a Walmart.
Yeah, I mean, you'll just have to
I wouldn't
rely
think it
on.
Would be. I might be wrong.
You'll just rely on going to those card shows and hitting up those dollar bins.
Yeah. So at that point, people will save up for hobby boxes. they'll save up, for the all stuff, but that's going to slow the market down. And then those people are going to get priced out. Look at Tops 20, look at Series 1 jumbos, right? Pre-sale, they were what? 160, 180?
Yeah.
What? Days after they were up 230.
When Update first release, a hobby box was $90. You try to go find that same hobby box now, it's pushing 200. Because now Topps just now realized how good of a product that really was.
I feel like they do that anytime there's a product that like gives you more value than like they, I guess, originally intended. They tend to raise the price as it ages.
Of course,
like obviously any product, like if you get an older product that has a good class in, it's going to be valuable.
They did it with 11. They did it with 17, 18, and 19, and now 22.
Yeah, I've been noticing that a lot. And then on some products that like just don't move as well, I've been noticing them kind of dropping the other way.
They have no choice. They have to. I mean, otherwise, it's like, my gosh. I mean, look at Chronicles draft picks for basketball. I mean, that product came out, it seems like a year ago, and you still see it on Walmart's shelves.
Yeah. It's crazy to see, like, even like the wrestling market, for example, like just how much like that wax pricing has gone down. You think of like where the Prism boxes were like $2,000 at one point, and like just on Black Friday, Burbank was selling them for under 200, which is like literally 10% of what they were when they came out. It's insane.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Magic the Gathering adding a 1 of 1. There will only be one in the set. Now that's $100,000 awesome. Bounty already.
That's really cool.
So that's awesome. So now those prices are going to go through the roof.
Yep. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh was in the same boat. They started out mid-90s. Nobody really paid any attention to them until somebody found some type of marketing opportunity, and now it blew up. You got your Yu-Gi-Oh, your Pokemon. Oh my God, Pokemon is insane.
Yep.
You find that product in places you would never expect to find them.
Oh, I know.
Like, I go to my local barber shop and they're selling Pokemon cards. I'm like, really? So you're gonna offer a fade and a pack of cards?
I kind of want to go to your barbershop now.
Shaving a pack special.
Yeah.
No, but you're right, Andy. That's what's going to happen. With the pricing, no, you can't get it. That's what's going to happen. And people are going to go to eBay and they're going to buy it that way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to have that one. You're going to have to save up, maybe buy a hobby box, or maybe save up to get, let's say, 2 hobby boxes. And you're going to hope that if you're a set builder, you hope you can build the set out of those 2 boxes. Oh, but then you have to wait for Series 2. Oh, but then you have to wait for update.
Yeah,
but here's the ones that
would be so hard nowadays. Like, I remember you could literally build a set close to a full set out of 1 box. But then again, we didn't have all the parallels we have today.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, it's insane now. Like, to really, like, if you were to say every single set that comes out, I'm going to complete it, like, you would have to be super rich or you would go bankrupt really fast.
And another thing that I'm noticing with a lot of these youngsters is if they're looking for a particular player or a variation to a set, it has to fit a sub criteria. Meaning, if they don't have the money to buy that PSA 10 raw, Mike Trout, for example, they'll go with the raw, but it has to fit a criteria to be minimum PSA 9, or they just don't want it. I mean, whether it's a 9 or it grades a 5, you just completed a set. Who cares?
Right.
If you need it for the set, that tells me you're not looking to flip it for anything that's going to stay with you. Right. But a lot of these kids, they're too wrapped up in associating dollar figures with this cardboard, and I mean it's really ruining the hobby for a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Like truly wonder, as these kids that we're seeing walking around the shows now with these Zion boxes filled with slabs, you know, and they think along those lines. That's the way it is. Well, hey, this one is $350 on eBay right now. Oh, this one right here is $450 on eBay right now. If they're thinking that way, to me, then they're automatically, it's a business to them. They are already in a business mindset. They are not in a collecting hobby mindset.
Well, you do got some folks that are probably older than us who have issues with ruining the hobby also. I mean, how many times have any of you gentlemen gone to a show and you see a whole bunch of vintage that is raw, and on that sticker it has a ridiculous number on it, but the letters BV in that sticker? What book are you basing that price off of?
The 1990 Beckett.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's I get it. You it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, but you got to catch up, Gramps. Everybody's on internet. You need to put the typewriter away.
Right.
You know, so but it's like it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. There's really no median to make everybody happy.
So
no, you're right.
Question for you both, actually. Going back to these kids that are walking around with these cases, $100,000 cards in there. Now, keep in mind they're kids. Like, do you think this is something that could be driving people out of the hobby, like getting in here expecting to make a ton of money off of these cards, maybe buying graded cards at like the top of the market, like, oh, Burrow's really hot, let's buy him now. And, maybe it's like right at the peak of Burrow, and then obviously maybe he gets hurt or eliminated from the playoffs, and boom, there goes prices. Like, do you think that's something that, with such an emphasis on I'm going to make so much money doing this, that when people A, either don't make a bunch of money, or B, even worse, lose a bunch of money, do you think that's something that's going to make them just kind of leave the hobby?
I don't think it's going to make them leave the hobby, because I know a lot of these kids who are in those predicaments where they do have these gem mint burrows or trout or whatever the case may be. That could be a tool to build a fan base with those that are in the same age group. Oh man, Timmy is cool because he has all these. I want to be like Timmy and hang out with him so that I could be, maybe he can help me get to where he's at someday. So I mean, kids use these things as all forms of little strategic methods to try to fit in, or try to build an ego.
I completely agree, Andy. He says Beckett and Nintendo Power were the shiz. Yeah, I actually I'm pretty sure I had a subscription to, actually, I was a Tough Stuff guy. I wasn't really, Beckett, you had to buy one per sport. Tough Stuff gave you all 4 major sports. So I was more of a Tough Stuff guy, but I had a subscription to both of those as well.
Here's what I wonder, from my little point on your question, Anthony, is when I wonder with these kids, where they're getting the cards from. Is mom and dad, are they forking over their own cash for it? Because I think if they're not forking over their own cash, let's face it, they're not really going to understand that much. They see a value, right? But you wonder, are they going to understand it if they're the ones who are not, they're not spending their own money. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some, 12-year-old kids, 13-year-old kids, they're hustlers and they do their own thing, and there is. But to me, you're seeing, way too many of, that age group walking around with these slabs to believe that all of them have gotten these cards on their own. Maybe they have, and maybe it's just,
I would say some of their collection probably were acquired on their own, but most of these kids at some point in some shape or form got help from dad, grandpa, hell, maybe mom.
Yep.
So I mean,
Yep. I used to have my mom every week, man. We'd go out to the flea market or the local card shop when I was a kid. We'd get a new card for the PC, you know what I mean? And it was always like, and I didn't understand, like, oh, you're buying me a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card right now. Like, how, like, big that is for, like, a kid who's, like, 12 years old or 10
right.
or how old I was. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think some of these kids are really getting these big pieces. Like, you know, I've seen some kids that literally have LeBrons that, like, literally I would trade my whole collection for, like, one of these LeBrons they have in their kids. And it's just crazy. But yeah, I would imagine the parents have a lot to do with a lot of those collections. I mean, every once in a while, you're probably going to find a kid that's, like, super sharp that has a business sense that can flip the cards. But for the most part, I would imagine it's probably mom and dad getting them started.
Yep. I would say whatever's left of the generation before us and a lot of our generation is somewhat pumping all these negative habits into this younger generation. We're basically we ourselves are killing off the hobby.
Right.
And we're passing on our practices to our younger ones. And they're basically going to be that final nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we talk about how the hobby is becoming worse and all that. Well, I mean, we're the ones who's putting gas on the fire and handing these kids the matches.
Right.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to definitely steward it better, you know, if we want it to last. You know, I don't want to be an old man here with, like, a whole trunk full of LeBron cards that are worthless. You know what I mean? Because unless somebody wants them in the future, they're typically worthless.
Right. I mean, and now I'm not saying don't indulge in trying to gain some type of monetary incentive for your collection.
Yeah.
But be realistic. If you're looking at collecting a W-2 from collecting cardboard at the end of the year, you're in it for the wrong reason.
Right.
Okay. I mean, yeah, you got Scott Golden, who's making a business out of it through auctions. You got sports card investor who says that he deals with cars solely at night, which, in my opinion, I think it's a load of crap.
Yeah.
Because if that was the case, why are you pumping these videos all days at random times of the week? You know, then you're building this empire of apps and you're teaming up with these partners to get it yourself your name to do grading and all these other nonsense. Spare me. Okay. If we want to get this back to making the hobby fun for everybody, you know, it's got to start with us. And I do know there's some people out there that are taking that initiative and gathering up all these kids and teaching them both sides of the hobby. You know, this is what the hobby is all about. If you're looking at turning it around and profiting from your collection, here's some methods to do that also. But ultimately, teach the kids that it's a hobby, not a place of employment.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. We'll see what happens. But you mentioned grading. I'm curious. Why won't you grade those mantles, but you'll grade Julio's?
Because I personally acquired the Julios. And if those mantles were such a big deal that they needed to be slabbed, my grandfather would have had them slabbed already. So I'm not going to do something, I'm not going to alter what was given to me. If it was given to me in a certain condition, that's how I'm going to keep it. And when it's time for me to get out the hobby or I'm on my last breath or whatnot. That's how I'm going to pass them to my daughter. And whatever she does with it, completely up to her.
Right.
That's a good way of looking at it, because could you think, God forbid, like you're going to get this mantle card slabbed and then like it accidentally gets pressed or something like that, or like it gets damaged, and it's like they could get you another mantle, but it's not the mantle your
It's
grandfather
not
gave you.
the mantle that, yeah,
Correct.
exactly.
That makes
Like,
a lot of sense.
I can look at this 51, and if there's a dark stain on here because grandpa spit some chew and actually got some of it on the card,
Yeah.
yeah, you'll give me a better condition looking mantle, but I'm gonna miss that tobacco stain.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. That's cool. That's cool that you look at it that way too, because most people would be like, I'm going to get this mantle graded because it's going to add money to, my bank account. Whereas you look at it like, hey, my grandfather gave me this card.
exactly.
I love it the way it is. That's really cool.
I mean, as I try my best to make the hobby fun, and I mean, it's like I get in on these breaks, and kind of like what Mike said earlier, I just do random acts of kindness because nobody really expects it. Everybody looks at this in a way where, shit, I can't get this because of the price value associated with it, or you wouldn't expect for me to just randomly buy you your PC team without expecting something in return. That's the one thing that a lot of people always have in this mind, this whole quid pro quo. I'm not all about that. I enjoy it to the point where I would like to make sure those around me actually enjoy it just as much as I do.
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense.
I agree. That's the only way to do it. I mean, it's a great thing to do. I mean, like you're saying, I mean, but I think, there are a lot of people who, they don't look at it that way, because they look and they go, okay, this card right here. Yeah, I know this isn't, I don't know, I know this is, a rookie card of, Johnny's team, and Johnny likes his player, but man, this is probably a $15 card. Why should I just give this away? I think that's the way a lot of people will look at it,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't. You're like, hey, Johnny loves this team. This card, I have no uh, emotional connect. Like, this isn't my favorite team. It's not my favorite player. So at that point,
Mhm.
it's just a piece of cardboard. Why don't I give it to somebody who's going to appreciate it for what it is, and
Exactly.
appreciate the gesture. So it's like a double appreciation. They appreciate you giving up a card that they look at and go, oh my gosh, he gave me this guy's rookie card. Holy cow.
And it doesn't even have to be an actual card. Perfect example. There was one point in time recently, I texted Adrian and I asked her just randomly, hey, do you by any chance have any Ricky Henderson ink? Because I was scrolling through eBay trying to see if I could find something that would attract my attention. But then at the same time, I saw this 8x10 autograph of Ricky Henderson. And when I saw that, it clicked. This is Adrian's favorite player, and
Yep.
he's in the right uniform. I didn't care about the price associated with it. I knew for a fact if I was to pull the trigger on it, it would go to a good home.
For sure.
So I ended up picking it up. I had it sent directly to Adrian, and what made me feel I did the right thing was the expression on her face when she opened it up. And that's really all that matters with the hobby. Just you have something, or you can get something that may not necessarily fit your needs or your wants, but somebody who would cherish it just as much as you would cherish something that they had that you could not obtain. If you're able to just obtain it and send it to them, that's a score within itself.
Yep.
But apparently a lot of people don't do that. They look at it as, okay, I'm going to go ahead and gift this $200 RPA so that when this person gets into a break, they'll think of me when they pull something just as big or maybe a little bit bigger and send it my way.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean that's another. You're right. That's another thing, man. Hey, I'll trade you and stuff like that. I mean, you need this, I need that. Boom, there you go.
Yep.
And don't look at I mean, it's like, man, it's a card, that I of a player, that I want. The value is not, gigantic. But who
Right.
cares? I mean, it shouldn't be about the value. It should be about, like you said, like Dom said, just share the hobby. That's how we are gonna go ahead and help prevent, it from being from dying and necessarily just, sharing as much as you can. That's the way, to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's that's what's so weird. It's so easy. And look, hey, I'm not gonna lie. I find myself, doing that sometimes also. Like if I'm getting a break and if you know, I usually go for, the New York Mets, but Dom does also. So if I look, Dom has, sometimes I go and say, okay, hey, you know, what team could I possibly get, that maybe has some value? I will look at that to see if there is a little bit of value there to go ahead and see if can I get something out of it. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong looking at it that way. A lot of people do look at it that way, but then it's like, at the end of the day, I don't really give a crap. Hey, give all those cards to so and so. I don't really care.
And that's how I look at it when I buy into breaks. If I've got what I'm looking to get out of that break and I see that the break is struggling to sell out, I'll buy up a few extra teams. But what I'll keep in mind, Mike likes the Red Sox, Jose likes the Marlins, or I'll buy up all those teams that are still open with them in mind, and I'll be like, okay, Mike, I'm buying all these teams from you. Please make sure that they go to this person, that person, so on and so forth. So that way, again, it goes back to everybody wins.
Completely agree.
Mike, you're muted.
Thank you, sir. I mean, I'm lucky. I don't, a lot of the guys that I will collect and stuff like that are not, superstar players. So their cards are not going to be, a whole lot of money. There are a couple of guys, but for the most part, it is what it is. And I don't care. But again, I don't look at it again. I don't look at a lot of the cards strictly from a value perspective. Will I look to see and say, hey, if I open up a box of 23, series 1 and I pull, I don't know, an Adley Rushman autograph.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not an Adley Rushman collector.
Right.
So if I could go ahead and, sell it, why not sell it?
Yeah, that'll be bait to get what I need from my collection.
Right. Because I want this other player.
Mm-hmm.
From that standpoint, and along those lines. But I don't know. I just think like I said, to me, I just hope that the younger generations can appreciate it more as a hobby than as an investment, a business, and they look at it the wrong way.
Well, they get that from our generation and older. We got to fix ourselves before we expect the younger kids to get fixed.
Yeah, so I just shared that for Dave, but anybody else, that goes for anybody. Anybody's ever looking to make trades, I'm always looking for LeBron cards, and most of my non-PC is on my eBay store. There's like 1,600 cards in there. So anyone's interested in any of them, we can make some trades. But DM me on Instagram so that way I don't get kicked off of eBay. Which I'll put that in there too. If anybody does want to trade, feel free to hit me up on Instagram anytime. Yeah, pretty much any. It could be a turd with LeBron on it. I'd probably trade you for it. Speaking of collecting
Turds?
individual
Oh, never mind.
players and turds, obviously, but you collect Julio and A-Rod. Is there a way you keep track of which ones you have? Because like I'm really getting to the point now where I'm struggling to like, do I have this card or do I not have that card when it comes to LeBron?
There's websites out there that have player checklists, and that's what I've solely relied on.
Oh.
Like, there is a checklist that I've built from the ground up on Alex Rodriguez cards that I know for a fact I probably barely scratched the surface, because we're talking about cards from 1993 till current that are still being produced for him. So I mean, it's like the more I put into checking off what currently exists, there's more coming out.
Yeah.
But there are websites out there that and as a matter of fact, I built a Discord page, and in there's a whole bunch of like baseball resources that I've thrown in there that I know people who actually have easier ways of obtaining these player checklists. So like you go to a baseball forum site looking for a LeBron checklist, they know where to get it for you. Hell, they may even build one for you, no issues.
So I just shared the Discord in the chat, guys, the one he's talking about. If anybody wants to check it out, feel free.
Did you join, Anthony?
Not yet. I'm going to, though. I'm always so worried because, like, a few times we'll be doing shows, and then out of nowhere, I'm clicking to try to get links to share for the guest, and then out of nowhere, videos start playing and just like ruins the flow of the show. So I'm always clicking links. But yeah, I definitely will go and join after the show.
But now,
I'm not like super active on Discord, but like I do enjoy being part of community with people.
And that's the thing. I'm guilty. I'm not as active as I'd like to be, but I went into building that Discord not just for baseball, but your hockey, your football, your stuff that you wouldn't even expect. You know, and how I like to gather, well, not necessarily gather, how I build that page is I like to get ideas from what the community would like to see on that Discord. So I specifically put a little channel in there called post your ideas here. If there is something that you would like to see that you enjoy on this Discord, put it in here, consider it done.
It's a good idea.
It's a very I mean, it is a very active Discord. What's good about it is that pretty much 99% of the time it stays on point, right? It's not one of those ones where all of a sudden people start talking about, hey, last night I went to the bar and got smashed. It's really a card community one, and everybody basically is just, it's about cards, it's about sports, it's about the hobby. It's hey, helping each other out, promoting sales, promoting videos, dropping the links and so on, for social, so on and so forth. Then hey, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. Anybody have any of this? Anybody have any of that? And stuff like that. So it really is a very active Discord that really everybody in there is like, focused on the hobby. It's not one of those ones
and we
where all
support
of a sudden
each other in
and
our collecting habits.
Right. It's not all of a sudden a favorite movies channel doesn't come up for no freaking reason whatsoever. It stays on point.
That's awesome.
It is an awesome Discord.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to join.
Yeah. I don't think there are many Pirates fans.
I mean, are there many Pirates fans?
Honestly, all it takes is one. Believe it or not, we actually found a Colorado Rocky fan.
Oh, nice.
So, I mean, they're out there
for everything.
Yeah.
Good night, Alan.
All right, Alan. Have a good one.
Great one.
Hey, brother.
More Pirates fans than Kings fans. Well, that might be true.
Probably. Pittsburgh's a pretty loyal town.
It is.
Pirates were good at one point. We just, I guess, stopped caring about them like a while ago. See, Kenny likes the Buccos. My man, I'm a Pirates fan as well. They're really the only team I actually follow outside of like whatever's on Sports Center from time to time. But
Only thing that I find any interest with the Pirates, Roberto Clemente.
it's my favorite player of all time, man. I love Roberto, man.
Okay.
He like literally died helping people.
Yeah,
I love that about him.
exactly.
Yeah.
There's a guy who obviously was not in it for fame and fortune.
No.
He was in it to give back to his home country.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, it's those are kind of the pioneers of the history that interest me. You got your Clementes, your Jackie Robinsons, your Babe Ruth, your Satchel Pages.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm surprised there hasn't been a Clemente movie yet, because there's been like a Babe Ruth movie. There's been like movies about other baseball players.
There actually has been a movie in Puerto Rico, though.
Okay.
They got their own little Spanish version.
Okay.
And it was more of a documentary, you know, kind of like what they do with all major figureheads. But it would be nice to see an actual movie like they did with Babe Ruth when they used John Goodman.
Yeah, for sure. That would be awesome. Yeah, Clemente is like such a legend, though, man.
He
like
is.
everywhere, but I mean, there's so much like nostalgia just going around the city. Like I think of this one building that's just on the north side of Pittsburgh. I think it's like a restaurant, but it's like a huge mural of Clemente on it.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you drive by, it's just amazing.
You know, despite him not putting up numbers like today's players or players of the past, he did enough to, you know, not only get into the Hall, but he was also a cherished person outside of the game also.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, it's guys like that who, those are the guys that, need to be celebrated more, because it was more than baseball for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And stuff like that. And I'm not getting me wrong. I'm not saying that the guys from today, but I'm not saying that, but I mean, a guy like that, upper level.
We
one
need
more level for a guy like him.
We need more Clementes of today.
Yeah.
I mean, we've like you said, we've got some out there, but what's one more gonna hurt? There's always room for more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's a Pirate. Man, I'm happy with Key Bryan and Cruz. We got some nice young guys coming up.
That's awesome, Kenny.
Yeah, Stargell is the man too. I have a autograph of Stargell and a bat relic of Stargell from like National Treasures, which is not like obviously not licensed, but it's super cool. It's like an actual piece of bat that he used.
Big
My
question.
holy grail, believe it or not, happens to be my Alex Rodriguez rookie card. I've got his actual SP authentic, and I just recently picked up the die cut also.
Oh, wow.
Was there something that drew you to A-Rod? Was it like the last name thing, or was it just like he was an amazing player?
Well, number one, we do share the same last name. Number two, my favorite number was 13. Mm-hmm. Number three, he's from literally my old neighborhood. Well, we grew up in the same environment. Mm-hmm. So it was little things like that actually drove me to follow him the way I did.
Yeah.
And it's in a way that's kind of like the same route that I took with Julio as well. They both started on the Mariners, and that's basically where it started for me. But Julio was a different thing. It's kind of like a flavor of the month for right now.
Yeah.
But with Alex, I've been a groupie since day one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've always just loved that dude's swagger, man. He's always had that, just like, I'm the best dude in the room, like sort of appeal to him.
Like, I'm probably gonna be one of the few who believe he will make the Hall of Fame. It may not be in the next 8 years. It may be in the Veterans Committee. He will get his chance.
I hope he does, man. Like, he was definitely, in my opinion, a good enough player to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's like one of them players that, like, you think of like a generation, like from the 90s. You know, if I'm thinking of like rookie cards of like players I want to look for in 90s with baseball,
Right.
it's like him and Jeter are like the two main ones that I'm looking for mainly, right? Like, I mean, it's early 90s, I should say.
The classic draft cards, I probably do. If you're talking about his time with the Foxes, then yes, I do.
Yeah, being someone who until he was 20 years old or 21 years old, wanted to be a professional baseball player, never thought about being anything else. If back in that day, somebody would have come up to me and said, "Hey, if I stick this needle in your ass, you can probably make the major leagues." I can't say that I would have said no. I can honestly say I honestly I don't know. I don't know if I would have been able to say no because that was the only thing that I ever thought about until like my second year of college. It was the only thought I had. So I can't hold it. I don't hold anything against these guys that went ahead and did anything during that era.
I mean, they all have their own reasons for doing what they did. You know, with this whole steroid scandal with Alex Rodriguez, his main reason behind it, he wanted to be the best.
Yep.
Even though without it, he's clearly top 5. But he was talking about setting records that were unheard of. You know, you've got your 700 home run club. He was talking about making an 800 home run club.
Yeah.
You know, those are the standards he held himself to. But, you know, he was just around bad influences. He was around Palmeiro. Somehow he dodged the bullet with the Mitchell report, you know, even though he got caught up with a lot of those guys learning, okay, this is how he got caught. What is it that he did that I can do, but just not get caught?
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Like I said, I look at it from that standpoint. So to me, it's funny, you make it, it's like, well, we'll make the exception. Well, look, he didn't show up on a report, so he must not have been doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
No, this means that he didn't get caught.
Exactly.
Doing
I'm
anything.
sure there's users in the hall right now as we speak.
Oh yeah.
I
There's
can name-
probably more users than not in that
Yeah.
era.
Mhm.
Like, could you imagine like coming up in the locker room and you're like the dude not doing like any form of like steroids? It's like, come on, man, do you want this team to win or not?
Exactly.
Well, you look back in the 60s and the 70s, they used to have, the uppers
Yeah.
in bowls like like you'd have a bowl of jelly beans at Easter time.
Yeah.
And these guys would go ahead and take them. I mean, like, it's like, here's the thing. What is a PED? If you're saying it's a performance enhancing drug, then that is anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you drink 4 cups of coffee before a game to get that, okay, you just took something to make you better than you normally are.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't like drinking a Red Bull on your way to work be the same thing?
That's what I mean. That's why, to me, how do you justify?
Or you have that ringer on your softball team. He likes to feel young again by throwing back 3 little bottles of Ensure.
Mm-hmm.
So we all have our little niche in what keeps us going. You know, it may be drinking 10 cups of coffee or chasing coffee with a Red Bull or whatever the case may be. I mean, what works for some may not work for others.
Hey, I was watching a football game. It was the last playoff game that Buffalo was in. And they showed on TV, Buffalo's offense is getting ready to go on the field. Josh Allen grabbed his helmet as he's running by. There was somebody there, gave him some smelling salts, took 2 giant whiffs of it, handed it back to him, ran out on the field.
Mm.
I mean, you know, it is what it is. Figure what, yeah. Well, yeah, that was Palmero. I mean, that was stupid. That's just being dumb. I never did anything, and then boom, a week later you get nailed.
Yeah.
You know, that's just being stupid.
Uh-huh.
That's thinking, hey, I'm above it. No one's ever gonna find out that it's me. Nope, wrong. Bam. You got hosed, brother. So well, Mr. Fuego, we have kept you. We've got an hour and 35. Man, these shows go so damn fast.
They really
do.
Holy cow. It's hard getting used to it because, you know, we're trying to respect everybody's time. So I'm sorry if we kept you longer than.
Thank you very much. This has been really awesome.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Coming on. So as we go ahead and let's get ready to wrap it up. Thank you, Dom. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for coming out again as always. I did say hi to Rafi here a couple of years ago, but wanted to say hello. Let me know because the Ranger, he was great. He was great. But hey, Mr. Fuego, what do you got going on? We can tell people about your channel. You want to say anything as we go ahead
well,
and let you go?
now, myself to include a few other members of the car community, there's a YouTube channel out there that supports everybody that we currently deal with in the community. All right, it's called the Car Community Inc. And that channel was created just under a year ago, and there's only 2 videos out on there. It's kind of like it was put in the wayside, but we're trying to get everybody back on the same sheet so we can go ahead and build up that channel to where it should be. And it's basically in support of a member's son's little league team. So anything that we do in regards to sponsoring these kids that love the sport just like we did when we was their age, it's going to go on that channel, whether it's breaks, giveaways, special videos that are focused on the group as a whole will go on that specific channel. Nice. So that's what we're actually coming up with. And as far as me personally, this Saturday we have another episode of the Baseball Junkies podcast coming up, episode 19. And that's pretty much it, really.
Yeah. We should have talked about this more at the beginning. We'll have to maybe do this again and really talk about the whole Card Community Inc. thing. It's pretty cool. I mean, Anthony, just to let you know, basically what we did is we pulled a whole bunch of money together between sales, donations, and so on and so forth. And one of the guys whose son, plays baseball, we helped him out because, practice time costs money. A lot of things cost money. So we're like, hey, we'll put some money together, give you some money for practice time. One of the kids on the team needed either new shoes or a glove or something like that. We're like, hey, guess what? We have the money. We'll give you some money to put towards, buying a glove for the kid and so on and so forth. So it really is it really is a great thing and everything, from that standpoint. So, Anthony, what about your channel? What's going on?
Yes, so I was just getting ready to post a link in the chat. Next week, guys, we're going to be on my channel, and Mark Hipsley, the promoter of the Pittsburgh card show, is going to be coming on to talk about the show that's actually happening next weekend. So it should be a really, really big show. They actually outgrew the original venue that it was going to be held at. So they actually went to another one to add more tables and stuff like that. So should be a really good time if anyone's local to Pittsburgh. Definitely come and check that out. But like I said, next week we will be having the promoter of that show on as our special guest. So if you guys want to come on over to the channel, give us a subscribe so you don't miss it out. That'd be great. Also, in pinned comment here, we do have Mr. Enfuego's channel. You guys could go over and subscribe to him and show him some love. We'd appreciate that as well.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, you know, I'll have regular videos coming out typically like I do every day. But yeah, really just come check us out next week. Would love to keep the conversation rolling.
Yep. Yeah. And me, I got a special 3-part series on right now. I ripped the hobby box of 2023, made it into 3 videos, seeing which day was the best. So far, it looks like Monday might be winning, but hey, Friday, there was some good stuff that happened. So Friday's video
Okay.
should be pretty decent. But again, hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate everybody coming out. Again, John, thank you for everything. Much appreciated. Thank you for all you do for the community. You know, and much success to you as we continue to go forward. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Don't forget, come on back. Have a great evening. Have a great weekend. See you later.